In this section, we're going to talk about tennis etiquette. Now, etiquette can be a dangerous word because it has associations with order of precedence at the Debs ball or which fork to use for the second course, but that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about a number of conventions, unwritten conventions, which help to make an experience better for people, in this case for a group of tennis players. And when I asked a number of long-standing members at EG for some things that we could put into this, one of them, the things that stood out the most was we want to do things which prevent a delay in our game or in the game of people around us. Perhaps the biggest one that came up was how we deal with the balls travelling from one court to another. It's a problem we have particularly in this country because we tend to have long runs of courts. If you go abroad, very often the courts are individually fenced and some of the problems we have don't exist there. But we can deal with that in a way which prevents inconvenience or even, unfortunately, occasionally annoyance to the people around us. So that's the first thing we're going to look at. What happens when the balls travel from one place to the next, and how can you make it easy for yourself and others? Now, the first point that a club member made to me was, when you go out, mark your balls. It makes life so much easier. When you have 4 courts going, that's 16 balls, and very often they can be of the same brand and type and maybe of this, roughly the same age. It makes life an awful lot easier if the court next to you say, what are you? Oh, we're S, and that ball can come back to you. You don't want to spend too long chasing around trying to find out whose it is, and it makes it less likely that you will waste the money and lose your balls. At the start of a service game, Simon is about to serve, all the players must make sure that the 4 balls are down at the server's end. Now, there's 2 ways to go about this. A lot of players, particularly, shall we say, those of us of a slightly older vintage, were taught that the 2 spare balls, Simon has 2 to serve with, the 2 spare balls should be at the net. This means that the server's partner can keep the server supplied with balls. Another option is for the 2 spare balls to be behind the server. This, in effect, is up to you. But one club member did make the point to me that when you're serving, your job is to go from right to left, left to right, and serve. It's your partner's job to keep you supplied with balls, and I think that's a very good point. And if the spare balls are there, on the server's side, not the receiver's side, because if they're on the receiver's side and Simon's serve hits the net, which of course it never does, then that ball is likely to go flying down the receiver's court, causing a delay. So that one's up to you, 2 at the net or 2 behind, but do make sure that at the start of the game, the 4 balls are at the server's end. The next point is that if the server doesn't have enough balls, all he or she has to do is call down the court, could I have 1 please, could I have 2 please, and then we will go and get them and we'll just return them safely and easily to him. And another point that somebody made to me about this was, if you've got to return a ball end to end, try and make it bounce twice. Again, it slows up the game if the ball is returned like that, or in a similar way. Inevitably, there will be times when the ball from your court goes onto their court, or the ball from their court goes onto your court. So here's a couple of hints of how to keep your game going, keep all the balls on your court, and stay the best of friends. The first one is, if the ball comes across, don't interrupt their game to get your ball back. Wait until they've finished the rally. Val, I think that's our ball. So wait until the rally is completed before you ask for the ball back. So if your neighbour's ball does come onto your court, just grab it, wait for the end of the rally, put the ball to the back behind the server or the receiver. They can take it from there. The one thing we don't want to happen is we don't want that ball now to interfere with their game as well. As I've been told that there are instances where that ball will come back like that. So that's probably going to interfere with about another 3 games. So take your time over that, just get the ball back under control. It takes a while, but it's less inconvenience to everybody.